This is the Real Change Wilmington Podcast, episode 72, Baking Dreams Come True at the Purple Wagon with our guest today, Elyse Fife.
I always just say, God has so much more for us than we can even imagine. And here, he just orchestrated all these different things that I thought were harmful or bad things or stressful things, like going a year without any type of real estate business. But everything pushed me to the point of launching this little bakery. And look at that. Me getting to live out something that I dreamed that I would get to do. And here it is actually providing for us.
What is going on, everyone? This is your host of the Real Change Wilmington Podcast, Dustin Pierce. Real Change is a positive, constructive, and lighthearted source of local news, events, and resources. On our podcast, we interview leaders of local organizations to help squash rumors and encourage a greater sense of pride in our community. We have a great interview for you today with our guest, Elyse Fife, who is the owner and operator at the Purple Wagon on Accommodation Road here in Wilmington. Elyse's baked goods are also available at Bite Size Market now, which is on North South Street in downtown Wilmington. Elyse moved to the area when she was 7 years old, so she's basically born and raised here in Wilmington. She has a hilarious story of how she met her husband at Generations Pizza, which I will let her explain. And now the two have two young daughters whom Elyse homeschools. So Elyse is very active in her church, Faith Family Church on 73. And before running her bakery wagon and home garden full time, she was an HR manager and then she was a real estate agent. What I really love about Elyse is that she's not only very curious, hardworking, and passionate, but she knows what's most important to her, which is being able to homeschool her daughters. And she is courageously creating a life centered around that and getting to do something that she loves, which is baking and gardening. So without further ado, let's bring in Elyse and get this podcast started. All right, Elyse Fife, welcome to the Real Change Wilmington Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about you. So I know that you operate the Purple Wagon.
Yes.
Out on your farm.
Let's call it a homestead. I think farm is too generous.
How many acres? At least 5 acres, right?
We have 5 acres, yeah.
Okay. Well, nice. Before we get into that, though, we're just going to get to know you as a person. So let's start by talking about where you're from and what brought you to Wilmington.
I am from Wilmington. Okay. So I've just been here my whole life. I lived in Georgia until I was 7, but that doesn't really count because I don't remember a whole lot of it. So I've just been in Wilmington my whole life. So nothing really brought me here, just been here.
Well, what brought your parents here from Georgia?
Family. They lived here their whole lives. Mm-hmm. And then some of my mom's family moved to Georgia and they did that for a while and then moved back up here because of family.
And then did you go to Wilmington City Schools?
Yes, I did. I was the last graduating 5th grade class from Martinsville Elementary and then just Wilmington Middle School and high school for the rest. Yeah, there used to be a small little school in Martinsville. The building's still there, but it's not a school anymore. And they had one class of each grade. And we were the Martinsville Rockets.
Really?
Yeah.
Was the Hurricanes still the Hurricanes?
Yeah, it was still, I think it was still the Hurricanes, but Martinsville had our own little mascot. And then you would go to the middle school, like how they used to have all the other elementary schools. They've changed it to the grade centers now, but it used to be we're one of the, I guess it was 4 at the time, elementary schools. Okay.
Did each elementary have its own mascot?
I don't know.
I would imagine.
Maybe so. I don't know. I mean, I was in Martinsville. We were separated from Wilmington, so I'm not sure about the other schools.
Okay. Very cool. So you are married. How did you meet your husband? Is this a fun story?
No. Yes.
Not a fun story?
I was working at Generations Pizza in town as a waitress, and I just was in the back cleaning. It was the middle of the day, and I was just running the bustle, and I looked up, and he was sitting at the bar, and the first thought that went through my head was, I'm going to marry that guy.
What?
And I did.
What?
Yeah.
Why was that your first thought?
I never had that thought before. Yeah. I don't know why it was my first thought. It's the only time I've ever had that thought, thankfully.
You were just sweeping the floor, looked up, saw a stranger, and said, I'm going to marry that guy.
It's bizarre, but I married him.
What?
Yeah.
How long after?
5 years, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a crazy.
We've been married for 13 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
He wasn't on board for a long time.
He wasn't on board.
That's
come on, that's strong.
That's
geez.
why he was not on board for a very long time. And I think we ended up being together. I don't know. We got married when I was 20, 22, 21. It all blurs together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are married now, though. Not against his will, though it might sound like it sometimes.
Oh my!
He likes me.
I'm sure he's a lucky guy. So you guys have 2 kids.
Yes.
Who are coloring in the other room. Right
They're hanging out. Yeah, Ava is our oldest. She's 12, and Nora is our youngest, and she is 7.
Okay. And what are they into activity-wise?
They both love basketball. Ava played volleyball this past year, or tried out like a volleyball program. It wasn't a team, but and she really liked that. Nora loves, my younger, she's a little grandma, and she loves to crochet and listen to audiobooks and do like rubber band bracelets, all kinds of fun stuff like that. But yeah, she loves her audiobooks and her puzzles. She will sit and listen to audiobooks and do puzzles all day. She will sit and listen to audiobooks and crochet all day. My older one is very artistic, and she loves to write stories. She actually has a book series that she writes based on her cat named King Jonesy. So she's a writer and she writes stories. Yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I like that kids these days are listening to audiobooks because then they can do other activities too.
Yeah.
I always hear about especially girls reading books all the time. But now they can listen to books and also do grandma activities like crochet and stuff.
Yeah, right. You got your hands free and your eyes free to do other things.
That's so smart. Yeah. Man, kids are smart.
Audiobooks are where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of your hobbies?
I love to read.
Okay. What kind of books?
I really like sci-fi fantasy types of books. I like rom-coms. I have really branched out, and I like a lot more than I used to. I used to only read science fiction, but now I read a lot more. If it will make me smile, I'll read it. I like light, fluffy stuff, and then I like some more intense series, world-building type of stuff too.
Did we get to The Expanse series?
Oh, yeah, I heard of that one. Who wrote it?
I think I don't know if it's called The Expanse, but it was called The Expanse when they adapted it to like a show on Sci-Fi.
I don't. Not ringing a bell.
I don't get much into books, but like one of my friends read that series, and so I read it to like bond.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was weird.
It was weird.
It's really weird.
No, my favorite series is called Red Rising, and it's like a dystopic. It's new world building. I love it. And a few years ago, like it was optioned, and so I thought that we were going to get a TV show or movies, and I just don't know if it's ever going anywhere because it's just so big. I don't know that they can do it, but.
What kind of hobbies did your husband get into? Does he write?
He's a comic book writer.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay.
He currently has 2 series that he writes that they're creators of. First is called Happy Astronaut, and it's about it's an all ages comic of a little astronaut that just kind of bumbles around in space. And then his newer one, which is doing a lot better than Happy Astronaut did, is called Slaughter Otter.
Slaughter?
Yeah, it's I haven't read it, but it's in like he's described it like almost G.I. Joe type idea, but like mercenary slaughters maybe. I hope I'm not getting that wrong.
So is it like a cute little otter that just is a mercenary?
He's not really cute, no.
Oh, he's not.
Okay. It'd be cool if he was cute.
It's like a rabies-filled
Yeah.
otter.
Like, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
More like Rocket, I think.
Okay.
The raccoon in that would be, I think, more comparable.
Yeah.
Not super cute. A little bit aggressive, maybe.
I imagine Happy Astronaut, is it like Calvin and Hobbes? Like cutesy stories? Or no?
It doesn't have that type of look to it. It's not like cutesy. It's more, the art's just different. I think maybe more like Rick and Morty type of art. I don't know. I'm really bad at this comparison. He'd probably be like rolling his eyes at me trying to
describe like this.
but no, he that's always been his passion. It's always been his dream career, and he was able to get signed on a label, or is that the right? No, a publishing company, not a label. He doesn't do music. A publishing company a couple years ago with the Happy stuff, and they put out Slaughter Otter also, but they have more plans, and he has other things he wants to do, and he's constantly like putting different pitch ideas together. There's a Superman story he wants to tell so bad. So that would be like his dream would be to write the Superman story that he has for DC. So
is that a lucrative field in general for artists and writers?
No, it's just not. Like there are some people who maybe make it big, but there's been a whole big thing with like the distributors in the comic book industry, and a lot of people aren't getting paid, and it's just, it goes pretty deep and it's a pretty big thing. So I think like tons of creators haven't been paid in a long time for the work that's already out in the world and sold and everything. So no, it'd be great if it was lucrative, but it's not. It's a hobby. It's a dream. It'd be great if it eventually was more than that, but he just likes to create.
And you guys, are you involved in a church in town?
Yeah, I go to Faith Family Church. It's out on 73 towards 71. I love it there. I've been there 7 years, probably 7 or 8 years at this point, I think.
And you had your own podcast at one time. Yeah. Was it about the church or someone?
It wasn't about the church. It was my friend. So one of my best friends, her and her husband are on staff at Faith Family. They're the creative pastors. And so her name's Sarah. She also has a photography studio right above here, right over in the other building.
Okay. What's it called?
Chapter and Verse Creative Studio.
Are they in the very front?
Yeah, they've got the front windows there.
Oh, it's super nice.
Yeah, it's very pretty in there. So she does all of that, and Sarah and I had a podcast called the Wanna Be Friends podcast, and we talked about all kinds of stuff.
Is it because you guys wanted to be friends, but you weren't? Or
it's because it's basically what I said to her when we met was, hey, just want to be friends. That's what I do with people.
Yeah.
I'm telling people I'm going to marry them.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah.
I just go all in really fast.
You're going to have a podcast together, and it's like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah, I don't, I'm a lot, I guess.
That's fun. So wait, what was the podcast about again?
Anything. We talked a lot about raising our kids, and we didn't really talk about the church, but we talked about our spirituality and what else? Just anything fun, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I probably laughed too much during it, but I had so much fun because it was just like conversation with my best friend, and we would just sit and get to talk, and like we prioritized that because we were doing something, but really we just got to sit and talk.
Yeah. Even though I like listen to your podcast, it was still fun for you guys to do.
Yeah.
What podcast do you listen to?
Oh, podcast.
Besides Real Change Wilmington, obviously.
I don't listen to podcasts. I will go through phases where I do, but no, I listen to audiobooks. That's what I do when I bake. I listen to all kinds of audiobooks. I can listen to a whole book in a day when I'm baking, and that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense because podcasts are typically only an hour long. Yeah. So if you're baking for longer than that, it's good to just have something continuously on.
Yeah.
Distract you, I guess, or entertain you.
Yeah. And I don't know. I used to listen to a podcast called Welcome to Night Vale. Have you heard of that one?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know.
It's just like a story about a little made up town. And that made me realize that I actually like audiobooks. I don't necessarily love to just sit and listen to people talk, but I want a story. I just like stories.
Yeah. That makes sense. So the next question we ask before we get into the Purple Wagon is just, what's a defining moment of your life that's helped make you who you are or helped shape your values and personality?
I would say when I was probably about 24, I had Ava and had just recently had a second trimester miscarriage that was really, really traumatic and hard. And I rededicated my life to Jesus. That would definitely be like the defining moment of my life, a turning point of all that I am. So it's just at the very root of me, changed me and constantly changing me to make me more and more like Jesus every day. Mm-hmm. It's ultimately like the ultimate turning point of my life. Now, if we were to go more like career-wise, or what helped lead me to where I'm at would be, I would say, I just hit a point where I realized I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. And I finally like took the leap out of what I was doing. So that time was a huge shift for me also.
Can I ask you a question about the first turning point?
Yeah.
So how was your life before that moment? Like, what made you decide, like, this is the point where I need to turn my life to Jesus, you know?
Well, I had grown up in the church and I had come to know Jesus, but I just really walked away from that in my older teenage years. It's not that I chose not to believe anymore, because I still believed. I just didn't live it at all. And at that time when I turned back I was raising a young daughter, and I was going through that miscarriage, and I had several other big things happening in my life that aren't really my story to share, but like left me incredibly racked with anxiety all the time, like hardly able to function. And I just realized that I needed what I used to have. I needed Jesus to help me through that. And I turned back to him and fully dedicated my life back to him. And he really shifted my heart and helped get me through that anxiety period. And it was a tough time, but he brought me through it. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but every day he just showed up and carried me through.
Yeah, that's tough. My sister went through a miscarriage too. It's difficult.
It's hard.
Time.
It's really hard.
I think people process it differently too, depending on the person. So,
yeah, everybody does differently. Some people like can bounce back pretty easily, but I was not one of those people. It was very, very traumatic.
I think especially spiritual people really struggle because they like value life in a different way
than a lot of people. And like we had planned for it, and I didn't have any type of thought in my mind that it might not end in a baby. And so I just really envisioned this new baby, and I loved it so much. And we had names picked out. Like we just had so much in it already. And then the miscarriage didn't pass. And so I had to wait for because the medical system sucks. And I had to wait for, I think it was 3 weeks before they would do anything. And I just was constantly wandering around knowing that was going on. It was a tough situation.
Yeah.
It's hard to move past it. So I just lived in it for that amount of time, in that waiting period.
Yeah. I'd imagine being mad at God.
I was not.
Yeah.
Some people, other people that I've talked to were definitely that. But for me, I trust in his plan. His ways are higher than mine, and I am not always going to know his purposes or his plans, and I trust. That's the faith that you have to have.
Thanks for sharing that. So the other shifts in your life that led you to Purple Wagon. So can you kind of talk about your career journey and how that shifted dramatically to be you're like a stay-at-home mom, right? And a farmer and a baker.
Yeah, I'm all things.
Yeah.
Well, I was 18 and had just graduated and got a job for a manufacturing company. I didn't really have college plans at that time. I had always said I'd like to be a math teacher, but never ended up pursuing it. I moved in with my husband, and we didn't have the money for me to focus on school or anything like that because I chose to move out so young. So it just became about getting a paycheck. And so I was working at a manufacturing company, and I worked my way up to where I was the HR accounting manager. I think I'd been there about 8 years or so when I got that position. And at first I really loved it. I was excited to do new things and to try and boost morale and all of that. But during COVID, I had to mass lay off people. I had to do a mass layoff of pretty much everybody. And that was really hard for me. That was really, really hard for me. And up until that point, I really had, for quite a while, hadn't been happy. It wasn't the place. It wasn't anything other than like, I just didn't like that type of work. I was just very stagnant in it. It was just not for me. And I got to a point where I would say all the time that I hated people. And that is not at all what I want. But people are hard. People are so hard, especially in that type of an environment where you're trying to staff entry-level positions to keep a place running. And I was constantly getting my hopes up about this new person, how great they were going to do. And they would let me down and I'd be hiring again. And like, so most of my job was just trying to keep the place staffed and then being disappointed when the people who promised me how great they were going to be let me down. And so I really got a really bad taste in my mouth for people. And that's absolutely not how I ever wanted to be. I used to love people prior to that. And so I just was very like, I don't know, I guess I was getting bitter and didn't like that. But I was what I would call it miserable for a couple of years. And then COVID hit and having to do that. And that was hard. That was really hard laying all those people off. And we recalled several of them, but a lot of them had to stay laid off. And I didn't like that. And so at that point, I finally started like trying to make plans to do something else. And really, I wanted to be able to be home and available for my kids because we homeschool. And so my husband was home with them during the day. I'd get home, he'd leave for work. And so he would homeschool some during the day, and then I'd homeschool some in the evening. It was a lot to try and do that, plus be away from the house as much as I was. So we started working towards me becoming a real estate agent. And what we were going to do was me do that plus work until I built that up enough that I could leave my job and do that. And then I just at one point like felt very much like I was supposed to just take the leap and do it, which is crazy because my income was our income. He was working part-time at Amazon to carry our benefits. So my income was our support. But we decided to do it and I was so relieved and I loved it. And being home with my kids was incredible. I don't take it for granted at all, because I just was away from them for so long. And that was 2021, I believe, that I left. March was 4 years.
So did you ever get to become a realtor?
Yeah, so I did that. My first 2 years were great. I was working very part-time hours, but making a full-time income.
It was right after COVID, right?
Yeah.
Market
it was like the boom.
Yeah.
It was great. So then that was awesome. I was not passionate about real estate at all. I was just passionate about getting to be with my kids. And that was the vehicle that let me do it.
I remember that you interviewed me and Tiara about real change because you were like going around the community highlighting people.
Yeah, that was like my last ditch effort to try and start drumming up real estate business again, and it did not work. I had some
it did not work.
videos that people liked, but
they
glossed over the part that I was a real estate agent, I guess.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years was great, and then I had like a full year where I didn't have any bit of income at all from real estate. And that's when I like was trying to figure out what to do and started to like having this weird idea about like doing the wagon at the end of my driveway and feeling like I was supposed to do that, but really not knowing how or what, like I just no idea for how to do it. And it didn't make any kind of sense because I live on a country road. Who's going to come out and buy stuff that I bake?
Yeah.
But my dream had always been to have a bakery. So I had been talking to my husband about it a little bit, and then he unexpectedly lost his job, like right at the same time. And we decided that we were going to make that work, and he built my wagon really quick that first week that he was off work. And he had just right before losing his job enrolled in college to become a teacher. So all that was happening like right in the same couple weeks. And then the first time we put my wagon out, it sold out. I didn't put a lot on it.
You had that whole following though from like going around highlighting people, I assume, right? Like
I
people
guess
that you
maybe that kind of
I'm saying
built.
I don't I'm assuming that, so I don't know how it actually happened. But
I mean, I think I did get several local followers from that because I was doing featuring local businesses. So maybe that helped some. But the Clinton County, everything about Clinton County, one of those pages on Facebook, that is what has really helped spread the word about my wagon.
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so I rolled it out the first time and it sold out, and I was really excited. I didn't put much on it at all because I just had no idea of what to expect. But then we decided that I would do the farmer's market and I would try to be our income for the summer while he focused on school. And so that's what we did. And it worked. So yeah, I just jumped into doing the farmer's market, and I didn't know how to like mass bake, or I didn't know how to do any of it at all. I just like fly by the seat of my pants. That's how I live my life.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a fun adventure. You guys just have like we are screwed here. Let's try this one thing and then make it work. And then
you know what? I did the same thing for so long, and I felt so stuck because I had a paycheck.
Yeah.
And now that I'm not used to having a paycheck, everything is possible. Like I can figure it out. I've seen that like it will be okay. We'll figure it out. And if this thing doesn't work, we'll do something else. I'll do something else. I'll pivot if I have to. I mean, ultimately, if I have to go back to work and get a job, I will. Everything I do right now is trying to be home with my kids for homeschooling them.
Yeah. It sounds like you're pivoting to things that you want to do, though. Not just like, I got to pivot to this thing to have a job, to have benefits, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like, I always just say, like, God has so much more for us than we can even imagine. And here, like, he just orchestrated all these different things that I thought were like harmful or bad things or stressful things, like going a year without any type of real estate business. But everything pushed me to the point of launching this little bakery. And look at that, me getting to live out something that I dreamed that I would get to do. Mm-hmm. And here it is actually providing for us.
Yeah.
It's crazy when I like look back over all of it, that right now at this stage of my life, I am getting to do the things that I dreamed about doing.
Yeah. I think most people like have a cushy job, so they become weak,
Yeah.
If they didn't have that, they have to be strong.
Right.
Too, and like
really scrappy. Figure it out. Yeah. No, like, and that was exactly me for so long. I could not understand how somebody could like take a leap and do something where they didn't have a regular paycheck. And I just feel like the real estate like weaned me into that, like, because I was getting regular paychecks through real estate, but it was like I had to be dependent on these people and these situations that may or may not come about. And so it was still up in the air, but it was pretty steady. So at least I had that steady income. Had I not had that steady income when I first started, I would have went and gotten a job because that was what I was used to and that was what I needed. But it's like been such a long, slow transition to where now, like, the last year has been the hardest year probably of my adult life, as in like life challenges being thrown our way, and we've figured it out.
That's a good point. I remember when I started my business, my like Make Shark, I had a full-time job. I was doing it at night, and then I was able to go part-time at my job. Yeah. I think that wasn't even possible. And like that helped me transition. Yeah. So
that's nice.
The slow fades do help a little bit.
Yeah. And it was so scary to leave my job with the regular paycheck, even for real estate, because you don't know what you're getting into with real estate. Like, I had no idea if I would get a paycheck or not. But because I was right away seeing clients and all of that, then it helped me to feel safer in doing that than even what I do right now. What I do right now is just so up in the air every time. Like, there are times where I put the wagon out and it doesn't do great. But most of the time I can bake as much as I want and it'll sell. So now my next step would be trying to figure out how to purchase a bread oven so that I'm not spending, because I have one oven. I can bake 2 loaves of bread at a time. And it takes almost an hour to bake 2 loaves. So, like, I spend so much time just running things through the oven.
Yeah.
So my next goal would be to do a bread oven that could do like 12 loaves at a time.
What's a bread oven? Is it just bigger? Like,
yeah, it's they usually have like 3 shelves in them, and you can bake like 4 loaves on each shelf. Like they inject steam into it, and it's better for baking bread. Like I wouldn't have to, like right now when I do my sourdough, I have to bake them in heavy cast iron Dutch ovens. And so I have to take the lid off. So I have to be messing around with them. I have to be available constantly. Where if I had a bread oven, I just stick them in there and I could walk away for 45 minutes until they were done.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a goal. It's a goal. I don't know if we'll get there, but maybe one day.
Didn't your oven just burn down or something?
Didn't burn down. That's so dramatic.
Well, I just like skimmed it, like I had an emergency. Like,
no, it broke.
okay.
And it was last Friday. It was my bake day. So I go home to preheat my oven. My kids go to my friend's house on Fridays, and I go home and preheat my oven, and it wouldn't heat at all. So I called my husband in a full-blown panic because that's our livelihood. And he started trying to research what to do. Somebody messaged me right away and offered me an oven they just had sent in their garage that was perfectly fine. So he went and picked that up, and we got that hooked up, and I was using that. And then he got some parts ordered. He actually got it fixed last night. So my oven's back.
Nice.
And now I have this other oven that person doesn't want back. So maybe I'll try and figure out how to hook up a second oven. I don't know.
Just have a garage full of ovens.
Well, that'd be something.
Yeah. So your goal is to have like your own bakery, but you also want to be a stay-at-home mom. Is that just like maybe in a few years you want to have your own bakery if you're more grown?
I don't know. When I was younger, I wanted to have my own bakery, and I don't know if that's what I want anymore. I do like what I'm doing now because I can do the garden, which takes a lot of time. And so right now, what I'm doing is the dream, I guess, aside from the bread oven. That would be even more the dream.
Yeah.
That's like ultimate dream.
Yeah.
If I did the bread oven also. But I like being able to have my garden and providing that way. I'm hoping to do lots of canning. I'm hoping to offer produce on the wagon, lots of preserving food. Groceries are outrageous this year. I think we've spent double or like what we would normally spend on groceries. So,
So how did you get the name Purple Wagon? Besides, there was a Purple Wagon, or did you like have the name then say,
Yes.
"Hey, let's make this purple"?
Well, purple is my favorite color, and I knew it was going to be a wagon, and I was trying to think of something, and I'm like, Purple Wagon, because I knew I was going to paint it.
Yeah.
So that's just what I went with. I thought it could sound fun. The Purple Wagon.
It does sound fun.
I mean, it does now. Before I had a wagon, it didn't sound super fun, but then when I had the wagon, then it sounded more fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Like when I was just thinking of the idea of the name, I'm like, I don't know about this. But then when like the wagon came together and I painted it and stuff, I'm like, okay, that name does actually work.
Was there other things like that inspired you?
Yeah. So I saw on Instagram this woman out in California who had a little wagon like that she would set up at a farmer's market. And so that was kind of like the idea. But then just keeping it on my property was what I ended up doing.
So how does that work? Is you have like a little cash jar, or do you have like a Square Venmo reader out there?
I have my Venmo and Cash App codes posted inside, and then a locking cash box on the side.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I go, like, once I put it out, I go and it's really nice to be able to do it at home because a lot of the time I'm not done baking whenever I get it out there. So then I'll keep baking and be able to go out and restock and just keep up with it that way.
So you have quite a following now, don't you, at your wagon? I know. So
yeah.
the president of the college, I guess, is one of your clients, right? Corey Cockrell.
Okay.
So she came here to get some stuff when the market opened here. And she's like, yeah, we used to go out to Elise's wagon. It's going to be so much easier to get it here. So like, she's one of your customers.
So I don't know. I've apparently become known as the Purple Wagon girl. And I love that they call me a girl still and not woman because it sounds so much like more fun. The Purple Wagon girl instead of the Purple Wagon woman, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. It's youthful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just yesterday, one of my friends had met some other people for coffee and she messaged me and she's like, everybody just realized that I'm friends with the Purple Wagon girl, and they were really excited. So like I'm just known as the Purple Wagon girl. But so I guess I have a lot of people who at least know about me. I know that the last month when I've put the wagon out, I've had people waiting for me out there, like waiting on the side of the road. Yeah.
Really?
I know last summer when I was doing my cherry pies, I had a line in my driveway at one point.
What?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess I feel really happy that I've built a brand that people are that excited about, but it feels
invasive.
It feels like the stakes are really high. Like I could do like, I don't know, bake one thing that people don't like, and I don't know, they could turn on me, cancel me. I hope not.
Cancel you? Yeah.
I don't know. No, I like it. It makes me feel good that people support me that well. Mm-hmm. To be supported so fully by so many people that I don't even know. Like I've met, I don't know how many random people would be like, oh, I know you, blah, blah. And so then like I'm meeting people a lot. And
yeah, that's fun feeling.
Yeah.
That you're helping people you don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
Brightening their day.
I guess.
So what was the first things that you started to bake, and like what is your like lineup now of items that you bake?
Well, at first, I feel like I was trying to bake everything. So I was trying to like figure out how to make everything. If anybody had any type of like idea or thing that they wanted, I would try to figure out how to make it. And so I spread myself really, really thin last year during the farmer's market because I was trying to have everything. And I will say that my quality was not nearly what it is now, just because I jumped all in, and I had never baked probably more than 2 loaves of bread at a time. Like I would not have, and then I went to baking like 20 loaves and then 40 loaves a week, and plus all the other baked goods that I bake. So now I have more specialized. I do sourdoughs, I do bagels, I do cookies, my cinnamon logs, and pies. And I would say those are like the things I'm more known for. Mm-hmm. And then occasionally I'll do something different to try and keep people interested and provide something new.
Yeah.
So I've like definitely
honed it in.
Yeah.
How do you stay from getting fat? Baking all that stuff.
Look, I've seen myself this past year. I've gained a lot of weight this past year. It was really hard because I had always been really strict about like what I would eat and but not just what I would eat, but what we would have in the house. Mm. So I would just not have junk food in the house. So then I wasn't eating it. Now I'm making cookies, and I'm telling you, I told my husband one time, like, I will share anything with you, but I will never share biscuits or chocolate chip cookies. Those are my two like weaknesses. I love those things. And now I have chocolate chip cookies in my house every week. So I just have had to learn how to not have it. But the breads really are more of a weakness for me at this point because it's so easy to cut a big slice of sourdough with your morning breakfast or have it as a sandwich. So the bread has been, I think, the bigger challenge. Like the sweets I can stay away from a lot easier, but bread is pretty calorie dense too.
Then your sourdoughs, that's like, you have to have a little organic thing in your house, right? For sourdough.
Like a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what's that look like?
It's like it's just a living glob of flour and water.
It's like some sci-fi thing.
It's flour and water, and it collects the yeast of the environment, and that's what how it ferments like that. So when you use sourdough, it's the leavening agent. So you don't use like yeast or anything. Okay. It's just a starter, and then like you have to feed it to keep it alive. And
so how big is your starter?
I've learned how to manage mine, but when I was first doing it last summer and trying to learn how much to have, I remember this one time I fed it a whole 10-pound bag of flour. It was in like a 5-gallon jar. Like it was overflowing. I did not do that correctly.
It's like a monster. It's like a horror movie.
It was so much. Because I just didn't learn how to manage it. I've learned how to manage it now. And I try to teach my people during my sourdough classes, like, you do not need to maintain a large starter or you're going to end up feeding it a whole bag of flour at a time.
Yeah.
So
how much does each sourdough bread get? Like a little tiny piece of it?
75 grams.
What is that like?
A glob. Like, I just
Is that metric or U.S. standard or glob? Like,
the equivalent to 75 grams.
Okay, well, I don't cook that. I'm sorry.
You have with sourdough, like when you bake, you use a scale.
Okay, I have a question. So you have your produce outside. What do you grow right now?
Right now, I'm growing a couple different varieties of lettuce, strawberries, onions, tomatoes, all different kinds of peppers, sugar snap peas, corn, watermelon, cantaloupe, potatoes, and then all kinds of flowers. I think that's everything. Pumpkins.
That's not just for your
Zucchini.
family. You're trying to sell that stuff too at some point.
Yeah, so I will preserve as much as I can, and green beans. I will preserve as much as I can for us for through the year, but there will be times because like with how many I have like 30 tomato plants, that's gonna be so much, so it's gonna overproduce. Then I'm not gonna be able to keep up with it. So at those points, I'm probably gonna set those out to sell on the wagon or just get rid of, however.
Yeah. And you have, what kind of animals do you have?
Chickens and dogs right now. I finally took the leap and did the chickens this past, I think it was March when we got them. But I'd been saying I wanted them for a really long time. And I'd always said that I would never have any other type of farm animals, just chickens. That was the only thing I ever wanted. But
It's a gateway.
It's a gateway drug. And now I'm trying to figure out how I can get little goats.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what their purpose is. Everybody says that they don't really have much of a purpose, and that's what I used to always say too. But I think their purpose is cute.
Okay. What about lambs? I feel like lambs would be like there's similar type of animal, but like I don't hear lambs getting out and jumping on things, escaping. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, and you can shear them for their wool, right?
or get hair sheep.
Hair sheep.
They won't have to do any of that. They have. That's the thing. I'm not. That is the thing.
Have you seen the big butt sheeps?
Is that a real thing though? I think I saw that on Instagram or something. Like,
I believe it.
that was weird. I didn't like seeing that. Someone showed me that. I was like, why did you show me
I
this?
didn't like seeing that.
I didn't. I felt violated seeing that.
I think they were cute. I just want to believe in them. So they're my unicorns. Don't take them away.
Okay. How many chickens do you have?
12.
And
We ended up with a rooster. We did end up. I was sitting out on the porch the other day, and I heard a cock-a-doodle-doo for the first time. I'm like, darn it.
So what are you gonna do? Do you still have it, or did you already? Oh, I guess.
I'm gonna do something with it.
Okay.
I don't want it though.
Got it.
Maybe we'll find somebody who'll take it.
I have chickens at my house in town, and I remember I had a silky chicken. So it's like the ones with little afros. Yeah. And I thought this one that I got was just super nice. Who always come up to me when I go into the little pen. But I found out later on that it was a rooster.
Oh.
It was like cockle-doodling, you know? So like when I would go in there, he wouldn't be trying to like cuddle. He like was trying to protect the other chicken. So that's, I misinterpreted. And I had to get rid of it.
Yeah, so my kids have absolutely loved having the chickens. They like opened up a chicken restaurant the other day. Like they had made different like patties out of their feed. Like they mixed it with like different grains and cherries from the tree, and they like pattied it out, and like they set up this whole like buffet for the chickens, and they only had one customer. It was Becky. Becky the chicken came, and of course leave it to Becky. She's the one that like will always come around. But yeah, so they've kept their chicken restaurant open, and for the most part Becky's the only customer. She's gonna be so fat.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Chicken restaurant. That's cool. How are your daughters like involved with your baking? Do they
do help. They help make my boxes for the cookies. I've been trying to give them a bigger role in it because it's starting to be a little more than I can handle on my own. I have always done everything all the way by myself, which is a whole lot. But I've been having them make my boxes, which saves me a lot of time. They've helped me package things occasionally. And this past week, I actually made them help me do the cleanup afterwards, because the cleanup part is just a lot, putting everything away and then I'm just a really disorganized person. I am not there is no part of me that is organized. And I try to have a label system where I've got my labels in different envelopes. And Ava, my older one, was trying to help me get all that back together. And so I am going to start like giving them more roles, but it's just that relinquishing some of the control of it.
Yeah.
But I'm to the point where I need help. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a thing where it's getting so big now that it's like it could almost be taking away time with your kids? So like having them help kind of brings them back into like your purpose of spending time with them?
Yeah. Yeah. So I am definitely at a point right now where just yesterday I was thinking about how I hadn't spent any time with my kids in way too long because everything needs all of my attention right now, with the garden being at the stage that it's at. My cherries are ripe and they have to be picked right now in order to keep them away from the birds. So like everything is just time pressing on my time. So yeah, I could see that would be a way to include them, be around them more instead of telling them to go play, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is also a little bit hard because you have to teach them how to do it and then hope that they will do it the same way and well every time.
Yeah. I mean, they seem pretty creative. You're making a chicken restaurant.
Yeah.
And selling to your chickens.
Yeah. They're good. It's just me slowing down enough to take the time to teach them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I can see that being hard too if it's your income source too. So it's like I'm trying to weigh paying the bills versus like having a good time with my kids.
Definitely. Balance. Yeah. Everything is a balancing act. I'm convinced.
Yeah. So you said your dream was to have a bakery potentially, but do you have plans to expand the wagon? I
can't tell what I'll do with that because right now, like I'm filling it up every week and it sells usually pretty quickly if I fill it all the way up. So I really am out of space on that. So I've kind of thought about the idea of like a little building down there. But then I think that takes away like some of the fun of it. Like it won't be a wagon anymore. So I just have to figure out how to incorporate like, I guess my branding I were to do that because I want to keep the same like feel of it. But part of why people come to it is that it's a wagon. It's not a little building. It's cute. It's cutesy. That has drawn several people to it is its cutesy nature.
Yeah. I mean, it can be like the wagon out front and the building behind it, you know? So it's like you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You get to experience the cutesy wagon still, plus the indoor stuff.
Yeah, that's a thought. I haven't spent a ton of time thinking on it other than like I need to start.
The purple she shed.
Say that 5 times.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that could be fun.
You're also selling at the bite-sized market now.
I am. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah. I remember when I first started this idea of making this little market down here, I just like assumed that you were going to be the salad person. And then like when I announced that you reached out, like, hey, do you have a salad person? I was like, well, yeah, you. Like,
you were like, duh. And I'm like, okay, good. We're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have that brand, you know?
Yeah.
You're the salad person. So do you stock your wagon year round now? Is it a year round thing or just?
That's another reason why I have to figure that out because I could do a building year round, but I can't do the wagon. I had to put it away. I couldn't do anything. So I didn't have any income for the winter because, I mean, we had a pretty snowy winter and with my driveway. So I store the wagon in my garage and I have to take it all the way down the driveway. And so my driveway was covered in ice and snow for so much of the winter that I like was, even if the temperatures would have been okay enough to have it out, I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
So I that is something I really need to put more thought into because I'm definitely at a point where like I have to be able to make money in order to stay doing what I'm doing. And that even includes the winter. So like I have to start, I guess, brainstorming what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We have the market here now.
That's true. That's true.
That's one source.
That's different.
Yeah.
That won't be something that, or since I didn't deal with that this past year. It's so hard to believe that I've only been doing this for a year.
That is weird.
So it's like been one season of everything.
Yeah.
I started in May of last year.
Before the farmer's market, right? Or
I put the wagon out after I started the farmer's market.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I ended up, well, maybe I did it one time. I think I might have done it one time before I started the farmer's market. And then I started focusing on the farmer's market.
Because you're at the farmer's market, you were called the Purple Wagon, right?
Yeah, because I was establishing it all together. Mm-hmm. So I didn't I was putting the wagon out a couple days a week and doing the market, but I think it was all right around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I like your branding. It's very hippie, like purple, sparkly.
It's fun.
It is fun.
I like to have fun.
Groovy fonts, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Thanks.
So
I'm not a graphic designer, and I did that.
Really? That was you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't read it. I couldn't do it again, but
That's
I did it one
see,
time.
like at a cool place in Dayton or something, like a cool hip place.
Well, all the sourdough people have the same look, and it's so boring. Like,
Really?
it's so boring. Yeah.
What is it like? Is it like thin font?
Yeah.
fonts?
And it's like just,
Yeah.
farmy. I don't know. They all, like, if you're on Instagram, everybody has the same whole aesthetic. And then that's not me. Like, I'm not wearing prairie dresses and mixing dough with, like, it's just a whole like Instagram thing. But it's not me at all. And so I didn't want my brand to convey that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like your aesthetic is like the prairie thing, but like with tattoos.
Yeah. We're fun.
And a nose piercing. Yeah.
We're fun. My cow nose, as all the mean Instagram people call it, or cow. I get called cow a lot because of my nose ring. Yeah.
Really? Never heard someone say that. Okay.
Yeah. People are fun.
Yeah. So the question we asked is just what kind of challenges that you face. We talk about a lot of stuff, but like having your wagon, doing the farmer's market, maybe, like what are some of the challenges you face in starting all of this last May?
Time. Like, I way overcommitted last year. That's why I'm not at the farmer's market this year, because I just have realized like what I can do within the amount of time that I have. I mean, I get up at 5 a.m. and I get moving. Like, I'm going nonstop, even to do what I do now. So last year I slept on my kitchen floor between the timer going off, getting things like, so the 2 days before the farmer's market, I was just in my kitchen 24/7, sleeping between timers on the kitchen floor as I was loading bread in and out, because I was trying to provide as much as I could because I was selling out so quickly. And so then it just felt like I was leaving people dissatisfied because I couldn't have enough. And so I was just trying to overdo everything. And so this year I've really made it my goal to do what I'm capable of doing. And that last year I did my garden and almost everything went to waste. I did not get to preserve anything. We were able to use from it like at the time, but nothing got preserved and so much wasted. I gave so much away because I didn't have the time to do everything. So this year I'm trying really hard to focus on managing, not overcommitting, but also trying to still make as much money as I can too. So it's just a balancing act, like we just said.
Learning how to,
it is. Yeah. So that's why I've stuck with the wagon this year, so that I can try and do it more on my timeline. And that ultimately is why I need the bread oven, because I could have so much more capacity if I could bake 12 loaves of bread at a time, because right now it takes me 10 hours to bake 20 loaves. Really more like 12 probably. So I'm like baking from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed to do the 20 loaves for the wagon. It's just hard to do it all. So I would say like oven time is definitely like one of the biggest challenges that I faced. And it's not even something I would have ever even thought about prior to starting last year.
How much do bread ovens cost?
The one that I want is $8,000. So it's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when we put this article in the paper, we could have like a QR code to like GoFundMe.
Help Elyse get a bread oven.
Yeah, help her get a bread oven. Help a girl out. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Yeah. I did get a free oven last week, right?
Yeah.
So
time is a challenge. What's been some of your most proud accomplishments, though, since last May, or proudest moments?
I mean, just building a whole business. Like it was a passing thought in my head, and now it's a reality. It's weird. So that's a huge accomplishment to me.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I just jumped in and figured it out, and so proud of how good I feel like my products have gotten. Whereas when I started, I think that I had so many failures like in my quality because I was trying to learn how to mass bake. Like I did not know how to do that at all. So then I had to just figure all that out along the way. So I do feel like my products have gotten so much better than they were. And yeah, just building a little business.
Yeah. It is cool making things like that you just have ideas about into a reality.
Yeah. And I never would have, like, had anyone told me 4 years ago when I was leaving my job that this is what I would be doing, I would have never, there's no reality where I would have believed that that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I joke with my employees a lot about how like Real Change Wilmington or even Bite Size Market is just something that I just made up, you know, that people like, it's part of people's reality. Like you get it in the mail. They just think like this is a thing that exists in some organization, but it's like, it was just an idea that I made up.
And now look, I know.
Now it's part of like, not just reality, but your reality too, you know? So it's just, it's just crazy. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's just like when I get told that I was the topic of conversation during your book club because I'm the Purple Wagon girl and somebody randomly mentioned my cookies or something. And now like, it's awesome. It's cool.
Like they say as if it's some real thing but it's like an idea that you have. Right?
Yeah. It's just a passing thought. And then you developed it and went from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So any stigmas or rumors that are around about the mark or the wagon or anything? We always ask this question to kind of like address things.
I hope not.
Things that are not true that have made you laugh.
Things that are not true that have made me laugh. Well, I'm not a cow. Contrary to popular belief of the old men on Instagram.
Shame on those old men.
But no, I don't think so. If there is, I guess I haven't heard about it. Yeah. Maybe like
if there is, screw on.
I guess like there are a lot of these little bakeries popping up everywhere around town and stuff. And so I guess maybe that like I'm not against anybody doing it. Like try and do your thing. So I don't know if that is something, but I know that like some people can be like, oh, there's somebody else doing it. And they think it's like a big deal or whatever. And I had to start too. Yeah. So I would never want to discourage anybody. Not to say that it's not like intimidating. It can be nerve wracking. Like, oh my gosh, are there going to be so many little bakeries that I'm not able to provide for my family anymore, and I have to do something different because people are going to the closest one. But no, I think everybody should get a chance to try out their dream.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, when people try things, they might not realize how hard it is. You know, so part of what makes yours awesome is that you persevered and keep with it and made it better and better.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people will try it and then they can't keep up with it or stick with it, or it just takes more time than they realize. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this question, but what keeps you passionate about what you do?
Well, I love it, but also like I just have that desire to be able to be with my kids, to be at home with my kids, taking care of them, homeschooling them, not having someone else raise them. So everything that I've done over the last 4 years has been trying to make it so that that's my reality. That's what is possible for our family. And I'll just continue to do that until, unless things play out and that's no longer possible. So I would say that really helps keep me passionate, but also because I'm just a really passionate person. I'm just a passionate person. Yeah. So it's not hard for me to stay passionate about things.
Yeah. Going back to sweeping at generations and saying, I'm going to marry that that stranger.
And look at us now. I still love him. And he, I think, loves me, I hope.
That's awesome.
We have a running joke with one of our friends where they always tell him, like, blink twice if you need help escaping. Like,
oh my God. Yikes. It's fine. That's good, though. We need passionate people, you know?
Yeah.
Makes the world fun.
I agree.
What's a quote or a piece of wisdom that's helped guide you that you want to share with other people? Do you have like a guiding philosophy or something recently that's like, yeah, this is this is a good thing?
I guess I tell my kids a lot, like, we do everything that we do to the best of our ability to honor God. So like everything we do it with a purpose, and we do it to try and honor the Lord in all that we do. So I'd say that is kind of a good way to go about it. So like even in the mundane, even in all of those boring tasks that you don't like to do, like we can have a good heart attitude about it, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think, isn't that like a verse in like 1 Corinthians or something?
Mm-hmm.
About,
it's a verse, yeah. It's just whatever you do it unto the glory of God, I think.
I hope that it's 1 Corinthians. I think so. It's on we have like these ready-to-go meals in our fridge at the market.
It's on those.
And they have that on there. Because like these meals are made out of Columbus by these guys who like are into CrossFitting and stuff. And so they furnish all these gyms, and they're all about like, doing what you do for the glory of God.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I am always trying to go back to. He is why everything in my life has happened. Everything that has led me to where I'm at is like just by his hand. So everything I do, I'm going to try and do it to honor and glorify him.
Yeah. What's a real change, or a positive real change that you'd want to see in Wilmington?
I don't know. I guess I wish people would really just decide to love our community instead of bash on it. Like, we have so much good going for us here, and it's such a cute little town, and I don't know, all the bashing on it does no good. Like, I don't know. That's just one of the things that I constantly see. Like, you see so much negative, but like maybe we don't do that. Maybe let's like think of something positive to say instead. Yeah.
Or I got like to like address problems constructively, Like I might not like this thing, but does it do me any good to like tear it down?
Yeah.
It's still, I'm living in this community, How can I address it in a constructive way?
And that's the whole difference between just bashing something. Mm-hmm. There's lots of people online, especially, who choose to just tear down. Mm-hmm. If you have an issue with something, like, let's address it head on. Mm-hmm. We don't have to avoid it, but we also like need to have a purpose in what we're saying about it, instead of just like bashing everything just to be negative.
Yeah. I also think sometimes people, including myself, like will bash things without being open-minded to like, maybe I'm wrong. It's like, I just bash this thing, but is there any humility in when we bash, like, oh, like now that I like put myself out there and like critique this thing, like maybe I wasn't fully right about this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely agree about that. Just knowing when to say we're wrong, or knowing when to say like, well, maybe I didn't have the whole story or the whole picture. Or yeah.
It's easy for passionate people to do stuff like that. I don't know about you. I'm just like, for me, it's like I got all worked up. Like, why are we doing things this way? It's like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, I can see that.
Anything else you haven't covered on the podcast yet about your story or the Purple Wagon?
I don't think so. I think that's good. I'm a pretty open book, and I share a lot online and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people who follow me already know a lot of this, but this would be nice for people who don't know about me to hear my story. Yeah. How can people connect with you if they do want to learn more, follow you for stuff? I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Elyse, Elyse Fife, Fife. It's I have a Purple Wagon Instagram page that I don't manage really well. I find social media really hard, but I try. And so I've learned to just manage like the one profile is easier. So everything Purple Wagon related is on my Instagram and Facebook pages. And then the Purple Wagon page on Instagram is updated infrequently. Nice. You go on Google Maps too? No. Okay, I didn't know. I should do that though. That's a good idea. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Because it's not out all the time. Yeah. Since it's you can set temporary hours on Google Maps. Oh, can you? Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should look into that. Just in case someone wants to find it. Yeah, that's a good thought. Cool. Thanks for being on our podcast. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for having your stuff at our market. Yeah, thanks for having me and all those things. Well, that's it for our podcast today. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Elyse Fife at the Purple Wagon. If you have any more questions for her, please feel to reach out directly. If she'll talk with us dorks, she will certainly talk with you as well.
After all, we are a community of empowered individuals. If you want to get in touch with Real Change Wilmington and share your story, you can contact us on our website, realchangewilmington.com. Visit our Facebook or Instagram pages, or grab a copy of our free local newspaper at Kroger, Sam's Meats, and Fiesta Veracruz. We also currently send our newspaper direct mail to over 2,500 Wilmington residents a month. So if you want to help us cover our printing costs and advertise your local business, event, or job posting, please email us at advertise@realchangewilmington.com. With that, I'm your host, Dustin Pierce. Keep it real, Wilmington.